Welcome to everyone that is joining us now. We're really excited to show you how to use the new AHA Product Value Scorecard today. And if you've been to a live tutorial with us before, you know the drill. Many of you are tutorial regulars, and it's great to have you back. And if this is your first AHA live tutorial, we're really happy that you joined us. So if you have a question during the presentation today, please pop those in the Zoom webinar Q&A, where we have a few other AHA experts on standby to answer your questions there. And then we will also pick out a few of your questions to cover live with Bonnie and Erik at the end. So here with me, I have today's tutorial hosts, Bonnie Trei from our Product Concierge team, and Erik Johnson from our Knowledge Base team. So they both have an incredible amount of AHA product experience, as well as real life product leadership experience related to today's topic about prioritization. So they are both excellent folks for you to learn from. Bonnie is going to kick off today's topic, and then Erik will give the product walkthrough, and we will all join back together at the end for live Q&A. And if at any point you realize you would like more hands-on guidance, switching over to the product value scorecard or getting it set up for the first time, just pop the words scorecard into the webinar Q&A here, and our customer success team will follow up with you after this. And with that, I will let you go ahead and take it away, Bonnie.
Thanks, Rose. So in my previous role as head of product, it was my job not to only create value to the customer, but to be able to communicate that value to the stakeholders. So when I'm faced with so many features that are all valuable, the final decision sometimes needed to be a really objective one. So we would go into these meetings and one executive would, in a full Texas drawl, say, "But Bonnie, why aren't we delivering this feature? It's been on the list since there were only 5 flags over Texas." So luckily, we had just recently met as a team and agreed upon the definition of value. So we now had a set of metrics that we could turn to and show that while it had been on the backlog forever, the level of effort and efficiency that the feature actually brought didn't measure up to that of the more highly prioritized items. And I really wish I'd had a tool like the product value score to visualize that instead of a spreadsheet. But literally a week later, the CEO walks in with an idea that would take all of the resources away from our strategic objectives just to focus on one effort. And with a huge smile, that executive from the last meeting looks at me and then the CEO and says, "What's the value of that compared to what we've already prioritized?" And so I may or may not have spit coffee on my keyboard at that moment. So we're going to launch a poll to see what everybody's hoping to accomplish with the AHA product value score. Mine was to get priority a little bit more objective, but maybe you guys have some other objectives. So assessing the value of new ideas, prioritizing features while roadmap planning, tracking the value of what you've delivered, or maybe all 3 of these are important to you. So the poll is multiple choice. You can select as many as apply. While you're taking the poll, I'll tell you a story about why objective scoring is so useful. As a product manager, making and prioritizing a product plan is a mixture of art and science. But when you're asked to justify your decisions, sometimes it seems a bit subjective, making it easy for the stakeholders to walk in and whoever has the loudest the loudest voice in the room can have a heavy influence on that plan without a quantifiable trade-off. So enter the product value score, quantifying the value of your decisions, leveraging agreed upon metrics. This simplifies your prioritization activities, as well as the conversations with stakeholders about why you're focusing on X instead of Y. So agree on those metrics, visualize them, use them to negotiate, eliminate that loudest voice in the room prioritization, and deliver lovable products. But don't just do this once. The market changes, so does your strategy. So revisit those scores and adjust them to reflect the current reality. A feature can have one value when it's an idea and completely other once you have more information about it and it becomes a feature. So as features are more defined or market forces change, those value scores can also change. So I'm going to look at the poll results real quick. Let's see. It looks pretty even, but there seems to be a lot more around prioritizing features during road mapping. So this is going to be something that Erik will walk through when he starts talking about the the feature itself and showing you how it works. The new product value score provides a place for you to capture the metrics of value, apply any necessary weight to them, and then rank your plan on real value. So we at AHA have learned a lot about value as we worked with more customers and have adjusted the product value scorecard to reflect those learnings. So the new metrics of population, need, strategy, effort, and confidence provide a new framework for defining the value of your features. And this score carries through from ideation to definition because great ideas are great features. So now Erik will show you how to use the product value score from assessing new ideas to adjusting feature scores to analyzing product value changes.
Thanks, Bonnie. Welcome everyone to my section of the tutorial where we get to talk about the bleeps and bloops and how to configure all this and use it in your own AHA account. We're going to do that in 3 steps. Switch slides here. They all start with the same letter: assess, adjust, and analyze. Assess, adjust, analyze. So first we're going to assess the value of a new idea. Then we're going to adjust that score when it gets to our backlog. That's what most of you are interested in from that poll. And then finally, after that's shipped and all the dust is settled, we'll move on to analysis and finish with some reports. If you've been with AHA from the beginning, you might remember our first iteration of a scorecard equation. It was very simple, just pitting impact versus effort. We've been working on it ever since. We've got a lot of new things to show you today. I'll try to call those out for those of you who are old hats at AHA. And one of them actually I just mentioned. We're going to assess the value of new ideas, adjust that score when they get to the backlog, and we're going to do that with the same scorecard. That's net new to be able to do this with the same scorecard on multiple record types. It's really exciting, even though subtle, because it means that throughout every stage of the product development lifecycle, we are oriented to the value of our work or potential work in the same way. The next new thing I'm going to show you, the next new thing of many, is this. So what you're looking at right now is, get my own face out of the way, is secret sauce. This is internally what we use at AHA to score the value of your ideas. Thank you for those, by the way, they're fantastic. Please keep sending those in, and to score the potential value of any work we're going to commit to. You can see instead of just impact versus effort, we've got 4 metrics here: population, needs, strategic alignment, and estimated effort. And then this is new, a confidence modifier. So as you'll see in a minute, when we first assess the value of an idea, our confidence might be a little bit lower. Once we get over to feature prioritization and engineering has had a chance to weigh in and we've done some strategic analysis, ideally that confidence goes up. If it doesn't go up, by the way, don't worry, we've got tutorials on that as well, and great knowledge base articles. Put something in the chat and we'll help you out. Here's that equation as well. So everything's weighted equally: population, need, strategy, and effort. And then there's that confidence modifier. In addition to being what we use internally, this is also what you'll see if you create a product value scorecard in your own AHA account. We've released this out to the wild, where you all live, and we'll use it today. If at any point, by the way, I'll say this a couple of times as well, if at any point today, while we're talking about scorecards, you get really excited or a little nervous or feel any strong emotion, put scorecard into the Q&A there, and we'll connect you with customer success, especially if you're thinking about switching over from your current scorecard to a new one. I'll talk about the ramifications of that in just a minute. We don't have sales folks here at AHA at all. Nobody gets a commission for doing anything here. So if you want a product expert to talk to you about the product, put scorecard in the Q&A, and we'll get you connected with some folks. But for now, let's move on to what this all looks like. So this tab is the features board. If you're new to AHA, this is one of the most popular pages in all of AHA roadmaps. It's these vertical columns are releases, which are containers for the work I'm going to release. And each of these cards, in this case, are features. And this is a demo product workspace that I've enabled in our AHA account. You can enable this as well, actually, if you want a sandbox environment to kind of tinker with. It's pretty useful for tutorials. And what you can see straight off is the scorecard in action. So on the top right of each of these cards, you see their score. This is the result of all those metrics, the results of that prioritization equation condensed into one objective score. So we can compare apples and oranges here and find out what the most valuable thing is. If we click into a feature, you can also see that product value right here. We'll talk about that as well in a little more depth as we get further into the tutorial, and the scorecard equation. So the main goal here, I just wanted to show you what it looks like when it's all put together, is to be able for everyone can see objectively at once how much the work they're doing matters compared to other things. And as we're making decisions for valuable work with limited resources, this really helps us. Okay, that's the end. Let's jump up to the beginning and configure a scorecard. So I am a administrator with customization permissions in this demo account, which means I can jump up to the gear, click to account settings, move down to scorecards, and here's every scorecard we've ever created in this AHA account. It's a demo account, so there's quite a few of them. The one I'm interested in today is this one, the product value score. And if you create a new scorecard in your account right now, this is what you'll see. You should look a little bit familiar. We've got that product value equation, everything weighted equally here, multiplied by a confidence modifier, and then each metric over here on the left, population, need, strategy, and effort. There's the confidence modifier. And then fun thing, if you're ever replacing scorecard metrics or scorecards themselves, or just adjusting things, we have a little sandbox here. Rather than going out and trying this on real records that might affect real work and real people in your account, you can kind of put a few scores together here and see if that 10 looks like what you think it should look like based on all those other metrics. If not, obviously adjust things. So I'm going to show you two different ways to customize this. The first is to adjust the equation. Pretty simple. For example, let's say I wanted to weight strategy a little higher, prioritize anything with strategic alignment there. I've just doubled it, and now changing the strategic score will have a bigger effect. I can also adjust any of these metrics themselves. The description, which is useful, you'll see this in a little bit, how they look, the sequence, we could get very complicated here if you want to, Fibonacci, whatever kind of sequence of value you choose to use in your own workspace. But you can also add new metrics. This is technically an Enterprise Plus feature, so kind of an advanced feature, but I think it's really fun. So we're going to do it together. If you are interested in Enterprise Plus, put something in the Q&A and we'll have someone talk to you about this specifically, or show you a tutorial or an article, or help you out. Most folks create manual metrics. This means what we just saw in that little sandbox right here. I click and I input values. But for some metrics on the scorecard, that doesn't make as much sense. And so we can automate scorecard metrics, tie them to another field on your custom layout on your records, and have that metric itself be automated. One of those is population. Population should give you a sense in the scorecard equation. At least we designed it this way for user demand, for how much your customer or end users demand should affect the score. But that's hard to kind of put down as a gut estimate, especially if you're using an AHA Ideas portal, you have an objective way to track customer demand, and that's with votes. You already have a votes metric, especially if something starts as an idea. You can see votes pile in. A neat thing about this too, and a neat thing about automation, is that votes, as you know, change. Maybe when an idea is first submitted and we assess the value of it, we think it's X, but after the idea sat there a little bit and got some traction behind it, the votes will go up, and we want the score to go, or at least that metric of the score to go up as well. So by the time we're prioritizing that, when it's been promoted to a feature, we have a up to the minute, real-time estimate of customer demand. So I'm going to select record types. Today's we're looking at features and ideas. Remember, this is new, the ability to apply the same scorecard to multiple record types. I love it. And then I'll select a field and I'll select votes there. Now we can make this fairly sophisticated if you want to, and we can talk about this in Q&A if you like, how to set rules here and how to translate text-based fields into numerical values. I'm going to keep it really simple and just say whatever the votes are, make those the score for that metric. When I do that, votes are down at the bottom here. They're all sparkly to show that they are magical. And let me move them up, probably in a couple stages here. Excuse me. Sorry for the cough. My toddler wanted to contribute to today's tutorial, and coughing on me is how we chose to do it. Okay, so I've got votes created. They're magical. They're great. You can see I can't adjust them in my sandbox environment here because they're automated, though I can input an actual score. Now I need to add them to the equation. I'll take out population and add in votes, which start actually with a V, like that. And just for cleanliness sake, let's update the description so nobody gets lost and delete the old metric. Okay, and we're looking good. Now it's the same for metrics, one of them automated, and then the confidence modifier right there. Again, this is Enterprise Plus functionality. If you're interested in that, put something in the Q&A and we'll help you out. But it's too magical not to show you, right? Isn't that a neat new thing, a way to tie? We can do this with a bunch of other different fields if you wanted to get more excited with this. Okay, before I move on to our 3 steps, let me put an additional plug in here. If you change the scorecard in your AHA account, you risk erasing all existing scores in your AHA account, which is fine if you want to rescore everything. But if you don't want to rescore everything, you need to be careful with this process. So I recommend, and we can talk about this more in Q&A as well, but I recommend putting scorecard in the Q&A if you're thinking about changing scores cards, just to make sure you don't have to rescore your entire backlog. We'd love these sort of questions. We'll be happy to jump on a call with you and help you out. Okay, but that is the product value score under the hood. That's how it looks. Let's go see it in action with our 3 steps, which remember are assess, adjust, and analyze. Assess, adjust, and analyze. So first, we're going to assess the value of a new idea right as it comes into your account. To orient you here, I've clicked on the Ideas tab, the Overview page, and this shows me every Ideas portal connected to my workspace, some stats about status or when things come in, and then a really helpful section here called New Ideas. At AHA, we review every single idea that comes in. I think it was more than 4,000 a year. A human being looks at them, thinks about them, and prioritizes them. This is something we recommend that any product team do if they're able to. I'm going to just look over one today, but you can obviously extrapolate that out further. So these are ideas that just came in yesterday. I'm starting my morning with my cup of coffee. I don't know where it is on my desk, and we'll jump up and open an idea. Okay, so Rose submitted this one, top athlete analytics for races I'm signed up for. Here's the title and a description. First thing I do after reading those is to look at the votes tab. We've got 6 votes, but since I'm an Ideas Advanced customer, I have access to what are called organizations. Ideas Advanced is another advanced plan, but again, I'm really excited about it, so I get to show it to you. Votes count the number of people, but sometimes I want to see that by organization, by say the company who's my customer. And I might want to put some custom fields along with that, like opportunity, value, that sort of thing, or see any more information. So proxy votes, organizations can be submitted by sales or support in my company and show the value of an idea based on the organization level. We can do really neat things here with segmentation and kind of CRM like reporting. If you're interested in that, ask a question in Q&A. I'm going to stick with the product value score here. But bottom line, I've got 6 votes, but 4 different companies, and I can kind of assess the value of those companies, at least financially to me. This looks like a very important idea right off the bat. So I'm going to do a few simple things here. Shouldn't be in planned. It's in needs review status because I'm reviewing it right now. First thing I'll do is to add a few tags. This looks like something to do with events, definitely analytics. We might have this as part of a dashboard. And then I think, races sounds like a premium plan feature. So let's add premium as well. Tags or categories or any of these custom fields just help me slot this idea so I can compare it to other ideas like it, maybe merge things together. Maybe assess customer demand. That way you can create reports off of all this. And then the moment you've all been waiting for, the product value score. So let's click up here. You can see that votes are already taken care of because that's automated. Right now there's just 6, though I'd expect this to go up as more of our premium plan users figure it out. And then let's just go through. Need, I'm going to give this fairly high, a 5 out of 7, just based on my gut. And the number of people who want it. Strategic alignment, well, this has to do with the premium plan and an area I know that my product wants to expand into. I'll put that fairly high as well. Effort, oh boy, I'm not a developer. I work with developers. I know this involves analytics and the dashboard, which I've heard developers say are enticingly challenging. I'm going to give this an effort of 5, knowing that they will reassess later, because remember, we're using the same scorecard throughout this whole life cycle. And then confidence. You've heard me hem and haw a little bit online. So let's give this confidence of 50%. Coin flip, whether I've got this right or not. Actually, right is probably the wrong word or the wrong paradigm. Really, this scorecard is just to give us a guess and just to help shorten some conversations and reduce some waste, to orient us around the same metrics. So there's no real right or wrong to this. A score of 9 allows me to compare it to other ideas, and then have a much more direct conversation about prioritization. Anyone here who's not me and is curious about what these different metrics mean can see the pop-ups. They can see the equation, though they can't change it. To understand, kind of where the scorecard coming from. If they're admins, they can go manage the scorecard. But otherwise, we will update the score right now. And it's a score of 9. Is that high? Is that not? It's worth taking a pause here to think about what ideas are valuable and what was worth moving on to the next stage, to like adding it to my actual roadmap. One of the wonderful things about AHA roadmaps, which I've been a fan of forever, is this promote button right here. The best ideas can be promoted to work that your team actually commits to, initiatives, epics, features, or requirements. And the benefit there is that I don't need to have, well, you can't see my desk, but it's messy. You don't need to have a napkin here with a customer's name scrawled on it and the idea they were interested in, so I can remember to follow up with them. Once I promote an idea, then it automatically updates everyone who's subscribed to it, anyone who's voted or commented. So that part is automated, and I can of course customize what I say to folks, that sort of thing. To get a sense of whether this score of 9 is valuable or not, let's look at the ideas list page. To do that, I've jumped up to ideas, moved down to list right here. And this is a list report, pre-built list report of all the ideas in my account. You can see that I've got some high product value scores here. Those are obviously based on votes. So you didn't see this before that we started the tutorial, but these scores were 5, 6, 4, so that sort of thing. Now that I've automated it, I'm able to accurately see votes as they affect the score right here. And I can see 9, what we've got is pretty low, but compare this to other ideas. This one's not scored that great. You can see, it's above a threshold for promoting, especially if I think, and I do, that this idea will continue to receive votes. This is something that I should consider for promotion. So the point is here, I'm trying to make a data-driven decision on whether to add something to my roadmap, because once it's in the backlog, we're at another stage of analysis that I want to be real intentional about. Let's do it. Let's promote it. I'm going to click this promote button, promote it to a feature, seems about right. And I'll promote it to a new feature on my parking lot. You might also call this a backlog in your own workflow. Promote it right there. Okay, when I've done that, it's promoted to a feature. There's an indelible link here. The status just changed to planned, and everybody who's interested in this idea just got that notification saying, thanks so much, we love your idea, we're going to work on it. We plan to work on it. As the feature moves through its own development life cycle, it will automatically update the status of the idea through its life cycle, and we can keep people informed. When that feature ships, if and when it ships, I can also add what's called an admin response to this idea to congratulate people and welcome their feedback, that sort of thing. Okay, this is step 1, assess. We just assessed the value of an idea. It looked great. We moved it to our roadmap. Let's move on to step 2, which is adjust. Remember, assess, adjust, and analyze. And on adjust, we're going to look back at the features board here. I just refreshed the page, and here's that parking lot over on the right. And there's my, well, it was an idea. It's still linked to an idea with the number of votes there, but this is my my feature. Same title and description originally from Rose. We can adjust those. And now we're going to go through another round of prioritization and another round of scoring. Again, you might do this in a bulk and look at your whole backlog or a whole section of your backlog. I'm going to use just one feature here to kind of give us an idea or give us a feature, I guess. Okay, let's jump through. You'll notice a different layout here, different custom fields that apply to this stage of the product development lifecycle, but a couple things come through that are the same. There's the product value score comes through that is the same, and there's those tags come through. So the point is that our work is not in discrete stages. A lot of those stages bleed into each other. And we need a lot of that context from the previous stage, which we've now got. So let's do a few other things here. I've got, first things first, let's link to strategy so everyone knows why they're doing the work they're doing. We've got a whole initiative on event coverage that this dovetails real nicely into. We might add a persona here. We might add a class of service, though this is really more of a developer's mandate. And then projected revenue. Say I've gone out and done some strategic, some market analysis on what revenue we think this idea could bring in. So this feature could bring in, say it's $500,000. I just made that up, but you of course would make it a little more accurate. And now we've got a better sense of the idea's strategic value. I might also at this point talk to developers, and that might happen a little later in your workflow to get an accurate sense of effort, but I think we're ready to rescore this. So I'll open it up. It's the same scorecard. Votes is still automated, which is great, so that as those votes come in, I continue to see the scorecard go up. And then we can kind of change what we saw before. So this is where we last left off. Our heroes need strategy and effort. I think based on, pretend it's been a little while and those votes have gone up, needs actually gone up. We have a whole release here called Premium Plan Updates releasing in November. So I think strategic alignment has gone up significantly since we're really pushing for this in the second half of the year. And maybe developers have talked to us and the effort has gone up as well. Really strategically valuable, but a bit of work to do. But since we've talked to everyone, our confidence has gone up to 80% and the score has gone up as well. That's a 16 right there. It gets updated. Okay, we've adjusted the scorecard value. Now the point is what to do with that. A couple different things. In my parking lot here, my backlog, I can actually sort the parking lot and re-rank the features by score and see compared to everything else in my backlog. Right now, just 10 features in this backlog. How valuable is this? Looks like it's in the upper half for sure. 16 is quite nice. I can also drag this directly into a release, drag that into a premium plan updates. And here's where things get interesting. We've created another opportunity for conversation and an opportunity to mitigate pain that will be coming in October. This red line right here means that based on the number of features in this release, number of records in this release, and the capacity that we've put in, the release capacity and kind of our capacity planning, AHA predicts that we will not be able to finish everything. That's not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, it's a great thing if we're discovering that in July. It's a terrible thing if we're discovering that on Halloween. It means we get to have a conversation. I've just added something that scored a 16. Analysis of personal race scores is a 1. I've got a 4 in here, viewing users' equipments. I've also got a 26. I've got things that are more valuable. This means that I can sit down with my team and talk about the opportunity cost of putting something in here with a lot of different solutions, right? We could reduce the scope of some items. We could pull some items out back into the backlog. We could increase the capacity that we have, add more people, add more time, take people off other projects. We are able to see something here and get ahead of something strategically that would be very painful and probably lead to reduced quality of product development if we had to come on it organically. And the product value score helped highlight that. Otherwise, I would not have a good way to compare athlete analytics to elite level tracking, but since we're having this conversation the same way every time, oriented the same way and following the same process with the same scorecard, this isn't a bad thing at all. This is wonderful. This is something you'd love to have happen in July. Let's keep it in. Is the bottom line, especially for the sake of this tutorial. I'm going to keep it in. I think it's really important. I like it, and we're going to use it there. That concludes our second step, right? We've assessed the initial value, learned a lot there on the idea level, and then we adjusted that score when we got to the feature prioritization level. We could do a lot more with this if we want to. Please put questions in the Q&A there. And again, just another I guess housekeeping call out. If you're interested in scorecards and changing scorecards, put the word scorecard into Q&A. We'll make sure we get someone connected with you who can make sure everything looks all right before we do it. Okay, does that sound good? Let's move on to the third step. So assess adjust, analyze, assess, adjust, analyze. We're going to assume that this is November 2nd. Everything shipped on time, as it always does. And now we're meeting together happy and well rested at the end of a big release to look at reporting. And we're going to analyze product value over time. So I need to drink some more water. Sorry for the loud drinking sounds on the mic. I'm going to show you 3 reports today as part of this analysis step, and so how we can use the product value score in AHA reporting. This is a list report. If you haven't seen one before, the roadmaps tab up here and then the list button will get you there. It looks a lot like a spreadsheet with columns and rows. It is not a spreadsheet. AHA reporting is a living thing. If I'm curious about any of the items I see here, I can click into anything and open up that record, answer my own questions, adjust anything, close it again. So this is directly connected to my data, if that makes sense. And we'll update accordingly. These can be pretty powerful. What I've done here, you remember we're using the same scorecard for different record types, and you saw me adjust that scorecard in the last step, which would be cool on its own. But the really insightful thing here, or the real opportunity for insight, is that AHA records the idea product value score, that initial score, and it records the feature product value score. So I can compare now how the score has changed over time, which is just fascinating, I think. So this tracked my friends in real time. We initially assessed at a 5, we adjusted to a 7. Suggest cross-training, assessed at a 4, we adjusted to a 4. So that one looked pretty accurate. A 2 to a 4, 6 to a 8. You can see the change over time, some of which might indicate that our team needs to get better at idea assessment, and especially if some of these scores start going down. You know, we thought something was great and it turned out to not be great, but it could mean we're really good at assessment, and these things are naturally improving over time. It's just an interesting window into our workflow in aggregate. Well, I say in aggregate. Right now I'm looking at kind of one record at a time. It might be useful. Let's add a calculation column to see these at a higher level. So instead of adding the data column here, I'm going to add a calculation column. This is an equation builder, a lot like equations in Excel or something like that. And I have, I'll confess to you now, have cheated, and I have my equation just off screen because I don't think you want to watch me type very slowly as we go throughout the tutorial. Apparently I cannot talk and type at the same time. So let me just get this done here. We're going to divide that by, I think, the idea product value score. Okay, did I do it? I did it. We'll save that. Page will refresh. Okay, and I've got a calculated column. Let me adjust this because I was a double English major and decimals don't always sit nicely with me. So I'll hit the more options here. I'll format column. I'll change this to a %, and then I'll remove decimals, remove the thousands separator, and now we can see the % change in score, which at least for me helps me as I'm comparing all these different records together. These are features in this case, or ideas and also features. Every idea that's been promoted, and I can see, okay, 60%, 36%, 100%, that's big. 0%, that means we are really accurate. -20, there's something that went down. That might be something to work on or to look further into. Again, I could do that by clicking into the score here to see the scorecard, or any of these links to see the records themselves. Basically, this starts a conversation. This list report does with that scorecard change. Pretty neat. Okay, let me show you a pivot table next. Again, if you haven't seen the pivot table before, roadmaps button, and then over to pivot, we'll get you to the pivot table. And this I've looked at one level higher up. I've pre-built this for you. So over here, each row is a different release, and then here's the aggregate, the average features product value score in that release, the average score for the idea that it was promoted from, and then how confident we were initially with that idea score, and then the variance between the feature and the idea product value score. So at a release level, are we better at estimating, or more confident or less confident for particular types of releases? You know, it looks like we're pretty accurate when we're looking at analytics, but But our mobile work, maybe particularly our mobile team, might need some help. Android release was way more valuable than we initially thought. Though of course this value might indicate votes, something like that. So again, we're looking at the release level. We can scroll down. We can have a lot of great conversations. If we have any questions, can click on any of these to open the release and see all that data. Okay, that's step 2. Let's look at the final one here. The final list report. This might look similar, but it's not. It's another level. We just looked another level higher up at the releases. Now I'm looking at another level deeper. And that is, instead of looking at one product value score, I can also look at individual product value scorecard metrics. So we've got need, effort, strategy. I'm going to add in a data column here for population, which actually we renamed to votes, didn't we? There we go, votes, product value score. So I've got all the metrics together. And let me zoom out a little bit so y'all can see everything. I'm going to add another column too. Okay, so here we can see each how the scorecards broke down based on their confidence. And what's useful about this, besides just basic fascination with data, is that you can start highlighting what we're calling opportunities. So anything that has a high need and a low effort is something that as a product manager, I'm probably pretty interested in, right? What are my gimmies? What are my easy wins? Or at least something that's more valuable than it is effortful to produce. Once again, I can do this line by line. 7 and 4, maybe I should look at that. 7 and 1, I should definitely look at tracking my friends in real time. Moving on down the list, but of course we can also add another calculation column. Once again, you're going to hear me mutter just a little bit as I try to create things. Let's do need, and let's see if need is greater than effort. As an English major, I'm going to convert these to words. So let's call those opportunities, and let's call the other way around or risk. See if I've got enough parentheses in there. I do. Great. Okay. So now let's rename that. Now I've translated all of this into one word. And I can also, this is fun, filter my report by that one word, if I can spell it right. So here now are the 59 features that are not yet complete, that are what I would consider an opportunity. So maybe I've got hundreds of items in my backlog. I now have less than 60 to review and to see things that currently have a score with a high need or a need that's higher than their effort. Some of these have no effort at all, so I should definitely add them to a parking lot. Please forgive the demo data, but we see the value here, right? I can sit around with my team and talk about what could we capitalize on that we might not be seeing in our backlog here. Here's everything ranked by need. We're like this. And I can also create this as a take home. I'll show you a little extra here. This is not technically part of the product value scorecard function itself, but I think it's pretty fantastic. If you've got people who are not in your AHA account and you want to share this same information with them, you can do that without adding them to your account. I've just saved this view and now I can export it and share it as a web page. I'll just turn it on and that creates a link that people can get to. And then I can also allow people to drill in a little bit or to filter this report. Let's say I like the way the report's set. I don't want anyone to mess that up. I'll allow them to drill in though and see these exact fields on the releases or the features. Close that and then open it right back up again because I forgot to copy the link. Okay, let's see what it looks like. So after you gave your great presentation, you could share out this link for anyone who's curious ever after. And you can still protect the privacy of your internal information in your AHA account. Right now, if someone's really curious about, okay, 7 and 1, what is track my friends in real time? They can see what I want them to see. If they're a member of my AHA account, they can go right to the actual record, but otherwise they can see the title, there's no description, or there's a description, sorry, right here, and status, and then of course that score. Anything that helps answer a few questions in a presentation. Okay, that's it. That's how we analyze. There's a lot more to do there. AHA reporting is a deep and I think fascinating section of our tool. If you've got questions, put those in the chat as well. We'd love to get them. But you can see how we've gone on this journey together. Actually, we'll call it a life cycle, the product value life cycle, from initial assessment onto that feature score adjustment. And then after the dust is settled, to the analysis that's going to help us make better decisions and ultimately build more lovable software by the end. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Eric. That was great. I was just pulling myself out of the Q&A. We had a ton of great questions.
Nice.
A ton. Bonnie and I were both in there answering those. And I did pull out a few to cover live with you guys. So let's do this first one from a longtime AHA user. So they still have the old default scorecards that were different for ideas and features. And they want to know how they switch over to use the new product value scorecard for both ideas and features.
Oh yeah, good question. I'm glad that came back up.
Yeah.
You remember I talked at the beginning about if you change the scorecard in your AHA account without being intentional about it, you risk wiping out every score on every record that uses that scorecard, which is great if you want to rescore everything. But if you don't, it's worth being a little intentional about it. I'd suggest spinning up Gridman Cycling, this demo workspace. Tinker a little bit, make sure you like the way your scorecard works, and when you're ready to launch, when you're ready to make that switch, tag customer success. Again, nobody gets commissioned for anything. This is really just product experts, and these are the sort of questions they love. So jump in there, they'll take a look and make sure it helps you transfer over appropriately. There's some exports and things that can help retain your scores if you want that, but it's just worth reaching out.
Great. Yes, please ask customer success if you want to change your scorecards. Okay, next question. Someone is dealing with this challenge for when they score ideas on the effort metric. It's really hard to come up with effort if it's just an idea. And then once that idea is better refined in features or stories and acceptance criteria, they typically do a sprint planning session with the development team, and only then can they really size the effort. So the question here is, for effort at the idea stage, is it kind of putting the cart before the horse? What recommendations do you have for scoring effort early on?
I can riff on this, Bonnie, or you can jump in. But one thing I didn't show you, this is a great question for that. Let me actually pull it up. So we've automated votes here, right? And I talked a lot about how it's magical and you don't have to do anything. You can still override that and do whatever you need. You can always return to automation there. If you wanted to automate your effort estimation to something a developer actually touches, link it to an estimation field, you can do that and still at the idea stage override it with your best guess. You don't.
There's also the idea of confidence, Eric. So
yeah.
That last metric is really about the confidence you have in this score. And so the assumption is that at the idea stage, the confidence of that would likely be lower. And then as you have more detailed estimations, then you can raise that confidence of you understanding the level of effort that it's going to take. And you can sort by each one of these metrics in reporting. So if you really want to focus on new ideas that only have a high level of confidence because everything else is still in flux, then you can use that to sort your ideas and start really prioritizing based upon that as well.
Good answer.
Yeah, good answers. Thank you, guys. Okay, I think we have time for a couple more here. So one was on the reporting front. Can reports be filtered by tags or categories across workspaces to be able to show the overlap or concentration of needs across a product line?
Do you want me to take that one, Eric?
Sure, yeah.
So yes, you can customize, you can also create custom fields. So I find that custom tags fields where you are specifying or predefining some of those answers allow you to normalize the data a little bit more when you're looking for specific themes. If you allow for a free-form tag structure in there, it's very difficult. People spell things wrong, except for Eric. Double English major, never spells anything wrong. But it's better to look when you're trying to see themes to identify what those themes might be in a more structured way, just so that that data is more normalized. But yes, you can use custom data, tags, things like that. And this is a really good idea as you're building strategy for maybe a future year. Start looking at the themes of some of those ideas that you didn't move forward with previously because they didn't align with your strategy. They might actually drive your next strategic plan.
Great. Okay, I think we have a question from someone who maybe that automation caught their eye as something they'd like to do at some point, and they asked if they can easily upgrade later on from regular AHA roadmaps to the Enterprise Plus plan. Bonnie?
Yes.
Yes. Short answer, yes.
Yes, that is the short answer. So automations are really powerful for streamlining a lot of those manual processes. So let's say you have identified someone as a workspace owner. They may be the person that you want to make sure all ideas get assigned to. Maybe you have a single centralized workspace for capturing ideas and you're trying to segment them by the categories. You can create an automation that says, if category is fun, assigned to Erik. So those are the things that you can specify. Now it would be by each category. You would have to have a new automation, but that's a really good way to, you can even have to-dos created. So it's almost like, here's an idea, Erik, please go review it, so that it becomes a part of their work list.
Okay, great. I have one more kind of interesting one here, which is around, can the product value scorecard or our own custom scorecard be used for other records in AHA, like initiatives, in addition to features and ideas?
Absolutely. And I'm going to combine the answer to that with answering another question too. You can put the scorecard on any record in AHA. And that's a really great observation, because you may score an initiative a little bit differently than, let's say, you score a feature or something like that. So that you can do that. You can also have multiple scorecards. So you can create a scorecard custom field and have a standard score that you're using for the native sorting capabilities within AHA. So that's going to be tied to some more native functionality, but you can have a secondary score, or even tertiary, or however many you want, that are focused on a score that is more specific, maybe for business feasibility or something like that, that doesn't drive your prioritization primarily, but is still valuable to understand.
Great. Any other questions, maybe Bonnie, you saw in the Q&A that you want to cover while we have another couple minutes or so here? I was just taking a look and there's still a bunch coming in. I do see one about weighting the score at the idea level at one rate and then weighting it at the feature level at a different rate that might be interesting to talk through.
Yeah, for sure, you can do that. So the equation can be modified by record type. So when you configure your workspace, you select which scorecards are going to be applied to which records. And so you can weight them differently. The challenge there is going to be that when you're carrying scores over, they're initially, like when you choose to carry them over from the idea to the feature, that initial weight is applied to that one. So you would need to go in and rescore if you wanted to make that weight more accurate based upon that new calculation.
Okay, great. Oh, here's another good one too. Is there any way to change the values of the score from within a report?
Yeah, that's great. Let's look at them. You just click right in. And there's that same modal right there. That's good. Remember, AHA reports are like this. If you have a question or you see something that needs to change, you click in. In this case, we've obviously got a lapse here. Strategy and effort haven't been added. And if I've noticed that as a product manager, I can click right in and update it, and the changes will be reflected as soon as I refresh the page. It's a good use of reports actually to get a subsection of your records and then just kind of go line by line and make sure that, is this still accurate? Does this still make sense to me? Any changes or any questions I have, I can open stuff up like that.
Okay, great. Thanks, Erik. And I think we're about at time here. So thank you everyone for the great questions. I think we had like 100 of them come in,
Awesome.
Which was awesome. Yeah, if we did not answer your question live or typing out the answer in the Q&A, we will follow up with you after this. Our customer success team will reach out, and we will also be sending you a recording of this whole session, so you have that to reference later. And thanks for joining us, everyone. Hope you learned a ton and happy prioritizing.
Thanks,
All
everyone.
right.
Thank you,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone.